What is going on, fellas? I'm Brian from the channel Brian. It seems that Oscar season is not cancelled just yet because everybody in the entire world decided now's the time to release their movie. So for the next couple weeks, I will still try to upload a video every Sunday, but chances are a few extra reviews will be thrown in between those ones. So to kick this off, I'm taking a look at Ron Howard's Hillbilly Elegy. This is adapted from a memoir authored by J.D. Vance that, as the tale goes, basically exploited the author's upbringing and family woes, completely minimizing the nuance of his situation to make a quick buck. I'm not about to read the memoir to get a better sense of whether or not that's true, but I'm more confident believing this without doing that than I would be in most cases. And that's because it's like the movie is doing everything in its power to prove those accusations correct. Either this is the biggest misadaptation of a pre-established work since Netflix's Death Note, or J.D. Vance is just a grifter who wrote a terrible book. Hillbilly Elegy is unusual for an aspiring awards contender. It's Oscar bait as f***, don't get me wrong, what with the excess of poor, sad people doing drugs, but you see this first poster and it's like something out of Funny People. It feels like you're supposed to laugh. And how can't you? I did. This is hilarious. Not only do they look like parodic caricatures, but it kills me how hard they tried to still make Amy Adams look Hollywood beautiful, you know, with the overbearing eyeliner. Her character is addicted to heroin. You have one woman in Adams who is the stereotypical example of women having to be pretty even if they're hillbilly junkies, and you have the opposite in Glenn Close, where you can tell the producers think Charlize Theron only won Best Actress for Monster because the makeup made her look unattractive. It's such an ugly, succinct case study on how women's appearances always remain central to their value in Hollywood. But back to the point at hand, the story of Hillbilly Elegy doesn't act like you're supposed to laugh at it, but this portrait of Appalachian poverty is painted with strokes so broad everything seems like a comedic stereotype. It's so out of touch for like big, rich Hollywood people to romanticize the struggles of a demographic they literally could not care less about when their attempts to do so are this shallow and backhandedly insulting. But, okay. Hillbilly Elegy is supposed to be taken as a super serious story about family, upbringing, poverty, and substance abuse. After all, Hollywood doesn't care about poor people and Moonlight is good. Hollywood doesn't care about poor people and Midnight Cowboy is good. That benefit of the doubt still doesn't help the movie because it fails in telling that story effectively. Hillbilly Elegy reeks with the self-importance of a heavy-hitting drama, but essential things a film like that needs, like good acting, characterization, setup, and payoff, all that is severely lacking here. Ambitions like these should never be met with dialogue this unnatural and obvious. The expected Oscar clip moments where, you know, they're dramatic because the actors are loud are terribly handled in this. Hillbilly Elegy is Amy Adams' worst performance. I will personally watch every Amy Adams movie just so I can say that with absolute confidence. Every line is like another shovelful of dirt, digging herself deeper and deeper into a hole of lost credibility. The way she executes emotional scenes is the biggest source of unintentional comedy I've seen all year. And I've seen The Kissing Booth 2. This is John Travolta in the Fanatic levels of embarrassing. Glenn Close is pretty bad too, but this is nowhere near as much of a blemish on her career. This film will stain Amy Adams' reputation until the day she dies. But in a last attempt at fairness to her, it's not like this is a role you could make any sense of through a good performance. Her character is irredeemably unlikable. There is no growth or change to her at all. And the things she does to negatively dispose you towards her aren't like little cute things where her son just has to understand things from a different perspective like the film's implying. They're dangerous, disrespectful, and cruel to a point where the character just seems so malicious she stops making any kind of sense. Maybe these are all things J.D. Vance's mother actually did, but there's a way to present that cinematically. Imagine if you took Naomi Harris from Moonlight and sandblasted anything complex about her relationship with Chiron. That's Amy Adams in this. She illustrates the film's biggest problem, the frustrating lack of a moral core that ties everything together. Throughout the film, we're given various insights that JD has received some kind of secret, elevated opportunity that wouldn't exist without his family. And gun to my head, I couldn't tell you what that is. In this kind of movie, you have the son who goes to Yale and he's put off by the persnickety pedagogy, only to realize a humble virtue in his family's small-town lifestyle. Cliché, I know, but it's something. Now that's where Hillbilly Elegy seems like it's going at first. They even do the lower-class person doesn't understand table setting bit straight out of Pretty Woman. But much like they insultingly describe Amy Adams' character, the film just stops trying. There's no next step to help you understand whatever secret wisdom or opportunity we're intended to think JD's family imparted on him. The movie has a real problem with putting you in the perspective of Amy Adams and Glenn Close's characters and really seeing where they're coming from. It tries to have its cake and eat it too, hoping you're genuinely respecting them while also painting them as lazy, abusive monsters. Most of Hillbilly Elegy is just characters being unreasonable, with a serious case of tonal dissonance. Hans Zimmer's score constantly plucks at the strings like it's Rob Zombie's Forrest Gump. So many times I got the impression I'm supposed to think this movie's whimsical, when absolutely nothing about the rest of the story gives that impression. The entire plot only makes sense for the sake of the paper-thin, patronizing themes of family and folksy platitudes the film can't even be bothered to develop. It is a story that basks only in the virtues of the protagonist. Any statements that could be made here are spread so thin they're eaten alive by their simplicity and waved off as, family man, isn't it important? You know, what do we as a society even like about Ron Howard? Ron Howard is the most basic director I can think of. If you want a film where absolutely no personal touches are added to your script, no style, no unique choices that require a vision, this is your guy. Ron Howard's D&D alignment would be true neutral. It's like he's spent 20 years trying to recapture what he thinks made A Beautiful Mind win Best Picture, mixing and matching Academy-friendly storytelling devices in the hopes lightning will strike twice for him. Hillbilly Elegy even periodically shifts between present day and the character's past Little Women style, except where Gerwig helped you know when each scene was taking place through things like the different color palettes and making the characters actually look different, and it's cool. Ron Howard just cuts back and forth. Just one of many opportunities to give the film its own identity he just did not take. This is just a confidently executed faceplant of attempted Oscar bait. Amy Adams embarrasses herself, and I spent most of the 2-hour runtime just waiting for it to be over so I wouldn't have to be around these characters anymore. The best scene in the movie is Glenn Close talking to JD about Terminator 2, because for a second I got to remember how good Terminator 2 is. Remember Terminator 2? It's a pretty good movie. What was I talking about? Oh yeah, Hillbilly Elegy. 3 out of 10. But hey, did you like this movie more than I did, less than I did? Well, if you care to, please tell me. And as always, if you like not only words, but the way I arrange and then say them, please consider subscribing to me, Brian, from the channel Brian. Thank you, and goodbye.